Everybody, Ryan Garland here, founder and chairman of Paradyme. I want to introduce you to two of my favorite people and the ones that are actually getting this job done. So in regards to Paradyme Storage, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the barn caves and really the demand for these units and why it is. We believe it's a good opportunity for anybody to get involved that is an investor or anybody wants to get involved and buy one of these things at the end. So I have Dennis here, which is our contractor, and I have Eric here, that's my broker, and I'm going to give the reins to Eric. I want Eric to talk a little bit about his background and why it is Paradyme Storage has so much demand for these units, given kind of the area, the market, baby boomers kind of all migrating out here for retirement. So Eric, please, buddy, why is it that we can sell these units? And tell us a little bit about your background, because I really want people to know more about, really kind of your volume and why you have such a huge footprint in the game.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Ryan, broker / BFF, right?
That's true. Yeah, that's 100% true. After 10 years of doing business together.
I know. It's crazy just to see how far we've come. But yes, to all of you, my name is Eric Gedalia with the Gedalia Group and eXp Realty, and we have the honor and privilege of representing Ryan, his company, Paradyme Companies, as well as Paradyme Storage here locally in Lake Havasu. And, just to be in business with someone like Ryan, self-made, really created this company on his own, is just so admirable, because I kind of had a rough start as a child. Things were very challenged for me financially, and I've had to work for everything that I have, like Ryan. So that
leads into where you are today.
Absolutely, so. Yes. And when you have a syndication of a couple of individuals that have the same backgrounds, we've been able to work really, really well together. And back when I was 19, I actually made my first real estate investment. And Ryan's company is completely founded on very, very successful real estate investments. So we have a lot in common, but more specifically, our group here in Lake Havasu has been the #1 real estate group in Lake Havasu City, Mojave County, and all of Arizona as of 2023. We actually sold $228 million in sales in 2023, and we're off to a very, very fast start here in 2024, with our #1 focus being to sell as many storage units as possible.
That's true. And so as you can tell, the idea is to really bring in the muscle, right? Bring in a really good team to successfully sell units, because we don't make money until we sell units, and our investors don't make money until we sell units. So as you can imagine, for us, picking the right brokerage, picking the right team, people that understand demand, people who have lists of buyers and has a huge marketing arm is key here, because as you guys know, our marketing is top notch. So we had to kind of marry up both brands to make sure that people understand that the Paradyme product, in my opinion, is top notch out of any other product that's in the city. So, of course, I'm going to be biased. It is my product, but I think there is truth to that. If anybody that does know this area, you'll probably agree with that. But thank you very much. No, real quick, weren't you like number 30 in the country or something like that in sales? You're way up there.
I want to touch on that, but just really quick, I've never seen a CEO and founder so heavily involved as Ryan. He touched a little bit about marketing. Not only is this guy making crazy, amazingly successful investments all over the country, Texas, Arizona, Nashville, Missouri, but he's also become so, just from a marketing aspect, the social media influence that Ryan and his company has been able to obtain has been truly amazing. And because of that, he has shared his knowledge, his tools. He is so supportive of us as a real estate group that we're actually constantly collaborating, that the actual founder, we're talking daily, if not multiple times throughout the day, on how we can innovate, how we're going to target our marketing today. So just that involvement from Ryan, his support to us, is also a huge reason why we've been able to move as many units as we have.
Well, to add, so, think about, I don't think you and I both had any idea how many people were going to 1031 and buy these units. I didn't even account for that. I was still thinking that the majority of our buyers are going to be people who want to buy these and put their toys in them. But what it sounds like, and it seemed like, is that there's been so many buyers that had, like, let's say, homes in California that they just don't want to manage as far as rentals anymore, and everything that happened with the pandemic. or even Airbnbs out here are getting beat up. Some people are like, you know what? I'd rather 1031 exchange, get some cash flow, maybe not as much in returns as you would in an Airbnb, but at least I have another product that I can have a 1031 exchange into. And that opens up the doors, if you think about it, to investors throughout the country. Because a lot of people that are having a 1031 exchange either have to step up on their basis, or they can't find another real estate deal that's at an entry point at this level as far as purchase price.
Absolutely.
So if you have $100,000 entry point, where are you going to find that in the country? Otherwise, you're finding kind of a Section 8 level home, and you're dealing with some other issues there too, and it's management issues. People don't want to manage. So being able to cast our net, if you will, to larger groups of investors across the country. It's not just now us targeting buyers from California or even the local, 2-hour drive area. It's really allowing us to cast the net for investors who are just looking for cash flow and can buy real estate assets at that entry point. So that marries up to the marketing strategy and being able to just, again, close more of these units, and that helps the demand go up.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
and that right there, guys, some real golden nuggets in there. That is a testament to how storage is one of the most recession-resistant asset classes really out there to be able to invest in. If you're an end user living in a town where the lake is federally regulated, so those water levels are never going to fluctuate more than 5 feet a year, making Lake Havasu a beacon for water recreation. In effect, we've seen so many new buyers out of Southern California choose Lake Havasu as a destination. And for those who have those extra toys, end users, not investors, they need more storage. And as Ryan touched, the 1031 investors were off the charts. 20% of our buyers in phase 1 were investors. So the variety of buyers that you see just makes storage such a strong investment opportunity.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off that too, so Cushman & Wakefield, which is a national firm that does a lot of third-party studies that we track, and they were talking about how not only boat and RV storage, but self-storage, they touch on all assets inside that self-storage product. And they were talking about how boat and RV storage has become one of the fastest growing asset classes to get involved in and invest into post-pandemic. But it's not only people are retiring and buying RVs, it's actually multi-generational use now. So I think we all used to think baby boomers were the only ones that were buying RVs, right? And that's not the case. You have multi-generational now. You have, Gen X to millennials. They're all, working out of vans and getting fifth wheels and buying boats and razors and more toys, and the list kind of goes on. So you really have a much larger market in that product. And I think, for me personally, I have 3 kids. And when the pandemic hit, we all kind of piled up into a house. And that was that was rough. So what we wanted to do was kind of do more of the recreational stuff, get out of the house, especially when we were in Southern California with the lockdowns. Well, I would say the majority of the people that were doing the same thing as us and getting out and spending time with family, they kind of made that the new movement for them to spend family time. So what I've seen is a lot of people bought a ton of toys, right? They bought their RVs, they bought their boats. They're not really selling them, right? They're still kind of keeping them.
Right.
So what's happening is people have it's the lifestyle too. We can marry up into lifestyle change, people's spending habits, which we track. But all of this data is really what's supporting this movement and this product. And it's not small firms. This is nationally recognized firms and even international. I'm looking at product in Australia and Canada, and people are doing the same stuff out there.
Yeah.
And so it's really an impressive product, in my opinion. Of course, I'm biased, but I think we have a good run here.
I mean, I would say more than bias. When you look at the product that Ryan and his team put together here at Paradyme Storage in partnership with Denley Development, one of the only developments that actually offers full insulation in the unit. So when you have that type of amenity, which Lake Havasu would really never see before, storage development consisted of a steel tin box. So Ryan and company actually took that to the next level by deciding to insulate the sidewalls, the ceiling, the back wall, and the door, which really became a game changer. And then on top of that, for phase 2, they actually decided to take that to the next level again by adding full climate control in all of the units. So to have a fully insulated product with climate control, an automated door really makes these units, to be honest, a pretty easy to sell.
And we're going to get over to Dennis here in a second. Poor guy hasn't had a second to talk. To continue, that's one of the reasons why we are going into the 18 acres right next to it, right? It's not only the demand is obviously there, but we are getting the hang of building these things. And when we continue to value engineer our budget, bring down the costs and what we're seeing in the marketplace, ultimately we can continue to pump out product that people are looking for. What I love the most, and I think what's really crazy, is that this area just is a little behind.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I think from an innovative, more forward thinking, coming from a high dense, they say if you could build anything in California and New York, you can build anywhere, right?
True that.
But what I'm seeing is that there's always this common, denominator factors, what have you, in development and demand and density and requirements. And what I mean by that is like, think about any malls, right? There's always multifamily, high dense townhomes, condos are always by the malls,
Mm-hmm.
All that retail. And a lot of times, depending on where you're at, like in Vegas, we did a project out in Vegas, and you got density bonus if you're able to, go from an apartment and walk across and go get your food and go to Kroger or what have you. That hasn't really been a movement out here. So when you have a huge mall on the north side and you have all this land around it, you're sitting there going, okay, well, obviously there's not a lot of, the population isn't quite there yet here, right? But it is growing and it's growing fast. And then of course you have the migration trends and cost of living and healthcare being pushed into this area big time too. But being able to be, 720,000 square feet of retail with a, Walmart supercenter and movie theaters, and I think they just put in a new urgent care, and all that area that can be built out outside the mall for land leases and maybe a restaurant or what have you. And then you have the airport on the other side, and you have all the new development and single families down below, and you just have all this area that's just, I could feel the heartbeat of this area. It's like, okay, hey, I think we have something here, we got to get involved. So I think that's where we're just kind of looking at it from like a long-term play. And obviously, like for example, the barn caves, that's a 4-year project. So in 4 years, a lot of things happen in 4 years out here.
And don't get me wrong too, Ryan made a very strategic decision by acquiring all this land on the north side. Even though it's not as concentrated as, say, the center of town, the growth of Lake Havasu has been so explosive that you have now started to see residential developments totally developed in this area. North Point, Viewpoint Estates, the Refuge, Canterbury Estates. We're seeing some heavy residential population in these areas. So these residential areas are very up and coming, right around the entire, compound of Paradyme.
Oh yeah, look, Home Depot, which we currently share a property line with Paradyme Storage, right? You got Lowe's on the other side of the street. You got, Toyota dealership over here. I mean, there's nowhere else to build except north, in my opinion, unless the BLM land continues to sell to Havasu, which I think will eventually happen too.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing some stuff through the grapevine. I don't know too much about it, but I do know that there's just more demand coming out here for homes. And I know that with that density, that's going to, and people and the spending habits and people wanting their toys, this product is going to keep going. So I feel really, really very, very confident that we're on the right track with this product.
And again, another level up from Paradyme Companies, the 18 acres that they have just recently acquired, Ryan decided to actually add a living component too. So really hitting all of the angles in Paradyme Storage, predominantly storage only, moving over to barn caves, which will have that very special living component too. So pretty much covering his entire basis.
Well, and respectfully, the developer that was going to build the product, the developer was going to build next to Paradyme Storage, I didn't want that next to my product, I'll be honest. So I was like, you're going to bring the value of my product down if you're going to build that. And I say it respectfully, but that was kind of the beginning stages of me wanting to look at that land for acquisition. And so after I kind of was in negotiations, I was like, I think it's smart for us to pull it down. But then listening to your feedback on what our buyers are looking for. And then obviously there's no workforce out here and there's no affordability, out here as far as homes. If it makes sense for the investor, it makes sense for the city, it makes sense for everybody involved, the likelihood of the project going well is high.
Absolutely.
And if you can get the support from the city because they need more workforce housing, more affordability and that so forth, you're going to get that much support. You kind of have the keys to the kingdom at that point. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can come in and build a reputation with the city saying, hey, we want to give back to the community by doing this, but we also want to marry up to what we also see the demand for, and we know this product, I think we're on the right track. So again, that 18 acres is going to be a huge stake for the company because it's such a big project too. I think we're right around 385,000 total square feet. That's between storage and living space. So in essence, these are townhomes.
And to top it all off, Ryan really is hitting every single mark. An additional 3.5 acres acquired on the outskirts of town. Again, you heard him talk a little bit about affordability. He's going to be really concentrating on this project known as Havasu Boathouse, a 3.5 acre parcel that will yield about 50 storage units. And the goal for that is to be a value add affordable storage facility. So stay tuned for that as well.
Yeah, that was. I think we're breaking ground in about a month. I think.
About a month.
Yeah. So now let's pick on Dennis because he's really the one we wanted to do this with.
The man.
The man. So Dennis, if you don't mind, share a little bit about your background, how long you've been in development, all the stuff you kind of have on your plate. Just rattle it off because I want my audience, my investors, and my friends to know kind of your skill set and why it is. I think they'll just put it all together as why it is I wanted to team up with you.
Sure. Dennis Roberts, Denley Companies has been around for a little bit of time now, about 8 years. I shifted into construction about 3 years ago. I spent the majority of my last 30 years with real estate, consulting, engineering, and materials testing. Eric and I have been together for about 4 years. I've joined the Good Value Group, and Paradyme and I just decided to venture this about a year ago.
Yeah.
It's already been a year.
Yeah.
Almost been a year. It's almost been a year.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that kind of just morphed into where we're at now. It's working very, very well. It's a fantastic, not only opportunity for Denley companies, but it's been a fantastic opportunity to get with Paradyme, develop that relationship, and the explosion growth. As I was saying, north of the city, that growth corridor is the corridor of the state's desire to see Lake Havasu grow. We're not going to see anything go really further south. Storage is a huge demand as well as homes. So very excited about the opportunity we have going forward.
Even on the rental side, the demand for rentals, that's why investors are buying the units and just renting them out. I mean, how many people did we refer out to, the project across the street that's a rental project?
We're making our neighbors as profitable as us.
And then on top of that, you sold my unit, and now I don't have a unit, and I'm shoveling my boats
I was
everywhere.
begging him. That's the demand in perspective, guys.
He's like, I have another product. We're going to sell it for more than I think any other product or any other storage unit at that size. You sold it at the highest point.
$300,000.
And so he calls me and I'm like, well, where am I going to put my stuff? I don't know where to put my stuff. So I don't even have a storage unit right now because he's selling all of the units. So it's a pretty cool story.
We're working on it.
Yeah. And so, but even then, at the pace that you're selling those units now, I probably won't have anything in phase 2 or 3.
No, and it's truly such an opportunity, especially in building C with predominantly the units are all 14 by 50, making it a really achievable price point at $126,500. My main objective is just to keep up with Dennis's fast pace of construction, a total shift from what we saw in the first phase.
Totally. So Dennis, I want to talk a little bit about more of your background. So, before you got more into the construction side, you were also working for other contractors out here.
Yeah.
So you have a background in steel building.
Yeah, in 96 is when we got Havasu, started working in storage immediately, mostly in consulting engineering. I followed the storage units construction and development in Havasu ever since. One of the stories I tell all the time is in 96 we were doing a South Side project and talking to the owner out there, and we were at capacity. There was no need for more storage in Lake Havasu at the time. That has never been less true. We have not been able to truly understand the demand, only that it is there.
Mm-hmm.
And people just continue to ask for more and more. So there's been a lot of years of working with the storage in Lake Havasu, and now as we're moving down towards I-95, there's even opportunity over in Bullhead for Mojave Valley. I don't think Kingman's out of the question. I think we're going to saturate Mojave.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's new.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, again, what you see with Dennis, his involvement, even him showing up to do a podcast as a builder, I think speaks volumes because his attention to detail, his obsession with construction, I think is truly fascinating. When you look at the general scope of builders here in Havasu, his determination, his motivation, I think, is off the charts.
Yeah, well, there's an ongoing joke that he can't hold down a girlfriend because he works as a workaholic.
That's no problem.
But the reality is, for me, that's a good thing because he's working his butt off. But, you know, even right before the podcast, and this is a testament to his work ethic, he was talking about, you know, he took a phone call from our superintendent at, 2:30 this morning? You know, talking about concrete. So, you know, and are we going to pour through the weather? And so, you know, it's just, there's so much that Dennis is bringing to the table because it really is like herding cats on any development. And trying to manage everything in an economy like this, and with a market like this, with financing the way it's changing, with workforce the way it is out here, you know, it really is I would call it it's a different language than you would if you were in Southern California with that much density. So the fact that Dennis is, I think, in my opinion, Dennis is going to be one of the largest builders out here for sure, if he isn't already recognized. So, you know, I think at the end of the day, you know, having really the idea, it's about communication, integrity, and just putting in the work. When you make a commitment, you got to deliver on that commitment. And that's what's happened with this team, which is rare. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to add, you know, to this podcast and bring this together so people can understand really kind of what we've pulled together, because a true good team is every individual has perfected at their craft, and it adds value to that overall investment or project.
100%.
You know, and so I feel very honored to have not only both of these men by my side, but it does allow us to continue to feel more comfortable about investing into the next project. And to be honest with you, I didn't think we were going to go so heavily in projects out here. But once you have your sub base, and you know your numbers, and you got your team, you're kind of like, okay, like it's safer to stay right here. You know, let's not invent the wheel. Let's stay right where we are, especially in this market. Having kind of a conservative approach is definitely smart.
And genuinely speaking, for any of the Paradyme investors that are watching this, I truly hope you guys understand that we are actually very lucky to have Dennis as a general contractor on our project, because the norm, as Ryan specifically stated, is very, very tough out here to build a single family home, let alone 200 storage units. So to have someone that is willing to communicate daily, text message, phone call, email, and literally respond within 24 hours on every order of business is really amazing. And being personally invested in the project myself, if anyone out there is considering investing, knowing that someone like Dennis is completely controlling the project, I would highly, highly encourage you to reach out to me while the opportunity is still open.
Well, it's not only that. I mean, we have current investors that go on our site and they meet Dennis too. So it's kind of one of those things, that transparency, that feeling you can reach out and touch the people that are involved. That's not that common. If you look at other firms, you make an investment, you just kind of wait for an update. That's not this product. This is come out, walk the property, drive the property, because most of our investors too know the area. They come out with their families and they currently live here, what have you. But you can come on, jump on the site, go, shake Takai's hand, our superintendent, meet Dennis. If you see a red truck out there, it's typically his truck. But at the end of the day, that's the idea, is to have people feel more comfortable that their money's going to work in the right direction and they can get answers.
Absolutely. And to know that, again, Ryan's vision of really developing a variety of product, from Paradyme Storage to barn caves to boathouse, affordability, living component, storage focus, is amazing. So as an investor, as a consumer, I would certainly look to Paradyme companies for your next real estate investment or purchase.
Well, thank you, man. So other than that, I think I'm good. Dennis, is there anything you'd like to add?
I don't think so. I'm privileged to work with both of you. As far as Dinley companies go, these guys are very, very happy.
Well, you also have a background to circle up and finish off with, but you also know single family, storage, remodels, value adds. It seems like you kind of know it all.
Yeah, the relationship that Eric and I have with the Gully Group, and then bringing Dinley into that along with Paradyme, it is full circle. We can handle everything in-house at this point.
Yeah.
So,
well, how many projects have you flipped and developed?
If we're talking at multifamily holds, single family flips, mass acre parcel takedowns, 150 home residential developments, multiple storage products, and so that's the point, is not only do I have a broker that's helping sell, he understands development and is a developer and builder himself. So, an investor, obviously. So
these are the things these are those little, nuggets that people need to really see inside any firm that you're investing into, is those people that are behind the scenes that are actually making it happen. And because it's like, let's say I'm sick and I can't make it work. I can't get to work that day. Well, this guy, can obviously take the bull by its horns. This guy can help handle it. So that's a very common question. What happens if you get sick or you get hurt? Who's going to help run it? That's a very common question I get with investors, especially if they're writing a big, big check.
Absolutely.
And so it's things like that I want people to see that we've put together, and those are the consideration items that we have, in essence, pulled together and want to continue to deliver for all of our clients and any of our people who are going to buy these units, because even our buyers, they want a good product. They don't want something that's falling down.
Well, that's exactly right. And so we talk about stakeholders, and we talk about delivering for the stakeholders. We're all stakeholders in this.
Mhm.
I mean, generally, companies want to be a good deliverer of a product. I have a stake in that. You have a stake in that. So the stakeholders are not just the investors. Stakeholders are everybody that's involved in this project, and we have a common attention to not only detail, but just we're adamant that we deliver on time. Things happen when they're supposed to, and the quality is there at the end of the day.
Which is something we had with our original builder, right? So it's nice to know we actually have someone that's actually more on the forefront and actually cares about being on time with their delivery dates.
Absolutely.
Which is awesome. In a small town like this, reputation is key.
Absolutely.
You have to focus on making sure we deliver a good product, not only because we want to do this over and over again, but we want to do this on a much larger scale across the country. You and I talked about it going into Ozarks, and you and I talked about it, you're going to go sell them out there.
Yeah.
So it's, the idea is to not just make this one product, this one project, it for us. We want to take this and go, okay, not only is the demand there, the data, what have you, but people want this. And people are tracking this, and all of our network, like you started on the beginning, all of our followers are going, they're rooting for us. Keep going. We want to buy more of your product. So, I think it's really important that people also understand that we are very much making sure that we're delivering a product that people want to talk positive about.
No, and I think nationally, this development is such a positive for our economy. Again, throughout the country, Nashville, all of Mojave County. I think to hear Dennis even talk a little bit about Bullhead and Kingman is super exciting, because the product that Ryan has developed, I think, will work anywhere in the country.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for your time today. You made it right at about an hour, so this is perfect. And Dennis, really appreciate your time, buddy. I know you don't really get on camera
I
often,
do not.
but I appreciate it. So, cool.
ParadymeStorageHavasu.com for more information on how to purchase one of these units.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.